Good morning. At last, again, we're having some technical issues, hence the difference. A different in time, we're a little late. Good morning, everybody. So today's session is going to be about back pain, abdominal pain. So something I feel very passionate about is our ability to use deep breathing and our own production of sound and singing and vocal exercise, therefore, for as a way of mild self-healing. Excuse me. Not in the sense that it's of use instead of medicine, but as a way of dealing with minor ailments. I'm sure I've mentioned this before in other videos, but if this is the first one you're seeing and you haven't heard it before, so through deep breathing and vocal exercise, it is possible to stretch muscles in our body that we can't otherwise feel. A lot of whenever our body is in pain anywhere, whilst it might be dealing with an infection or an illness of some kind, we feel the pain because the body is telling us that it needs rest, it needs looking after. So, and it's usually something to do with a tension or inflammation of certain muscles, or, in various levels. Sorry, I'm slightly thrown by the fact that I had to restart the whole thing. I was sort of ready to go about 10 minutes ago. So it can be something as simple as a momentary discomfort where you must say, oh, my back feels a little bit achy, without having a full-blown backache. Or you might, we tend, I think things like headaches, we tend to take quite lightly. You wouldn't go to a doctor for a headache, but if like me, you get this really strong migraines, and you wake up first thing in the morning and they don't go away, you don't necessarily want to go and rely on paracetamol every 4 hours. It's quite useful to have some ways to just step back, listen to the body, and say, okay, actually, I'm going to do something about this. Because if you had a leg cramp, you would quite easily stretch the muscle. But how can you stretch muscles in the head? Okay, so we're going to talk about that today. And something as well I've been wanting to cover for quite a while is something that unless I've missed it, I think once or twice I've seen, once I think it came up, an opera singer on Facebook mentioned the unmentionable word, opera singers and periods. Oh, I said it, there you go. So many opera singers are women. Of course we get periods. And back pain and abdominal pain is clearly something that we have to put up with every month. So not wishing to alienate people who don't get them, I thought I'd try and cover both things on the same video. Largely, we're going to talk about headaches, the spine, and the abdomen. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. Let's get started. Let's focus our minds, first of all, with a few breaths, and we'll go on from there. So, we're going to start in a sitting position. If you're sitting, I quite like a piano stool because it doesn't have a back, and you can just sort of adjust your sitting position so that your feet are flat on the ground, your knees about 90 degrees, and you want your back to be fairly straight, and you can just relax your hands on your legs. If you are sitting in a normal chair with a back, Try not to slouch, just sort of sit forward a little bit, so that you can bend your knees at 90 degrees and have your feet flat on the ground. Main thing, we want our spine to be nice and straight to start with. So we're going to take a couple of deep breaths. We're going to breathe quickly through the mouth, straight into the soft palate. We want to arch it like a sail, and then we'll blow. So we'll go like this. And just allow all the air to leave, even past the point where we can actually hear us blowing the air out. Okay, together. Once more. And once more, really being aware of our abdominal muscles getting involved in the breath. Now we're going to start, I think we'll start from the spine and then work our way up. I wanted first of all to focus on headaches. I maintain that the key to easing pain anywhere and everywhere in our body is to re-establish balance. So if you can sit back a little bit, so now you are arching your spine. To steady yourself, perhaps you could, if you're short like me, you can cross your feet like that, so that you are, one of your feet is sort of has the back on the floor. Your ankles are crossed, and your back is balanced, so that although we're starting to arch the back, it is an easy arch and not a full slouch in either side. Okay. To aid that, we're going to move our arms forward onto our lap, starting from the shoulders, right from the neck. Our shoulders, we're going to fairly symmetrically move them forward, and we lower our head in a very relaxed position. So visualize the arch that is now your spine. And we'll take a couple of deep breaths, breathing through that bend. So again, as before, in, hold it for a moment, and blow. As you blow the air out, try and control the flow of air through your abdomen, so that you're using your abdominal muscles to push the air out whilst stretching the muscles on your back. This may well be uncomfortable to start with, but we'll work with that. So take your time. So let's do that again. So breathe in, hold it for a moment, and breathe out as you stretch the back. So we're stretching from the bottom right up to the top. So you should feel a stretch right there, as well as down almost your lumbar area and the middle of your back as well. As we can arch a little more, almost imagine yourself turning into a ball. Reach further forward with your arms, and one more breath. Hold it for a moment and blow out. So by this point, you should really have stretched the whole of your back as far as you possibly can. But because we're curling up into a ball, it's a supported stretch. Yeah. So now let's breathe in, and we're going to involve our arms, and we're going to stretch the front of our chest. Breathe in. And as we breathe out, stretch outwards, reach out with your arms. Once more, gather the air in with your arms and reach out as you breathe out. You can now breathe in through your nose. And blow. And one last one. The point of this is that having stretched the back forward, we are now, we're putting the stress on the front of we're now stretching the front of the rib cage in a way that then eases the spine back into its natural shape with this almost instant self-massage, you know? So one more breath. And breathe out. So if you move the arms out, you should have felt that the movement has allowed muscles on your back to ripple down and massage the muscles immediately next to the spine. So hopefully what was originally discomfort, if you felt it, should now be clear. Okay. I want to do more on that now, but so we're focusing, as I said, we start with the head. So if you have a headache that's usually caused by stress in muscles and blood vessels are sort of swelling around your head. So if I mentioned earlier about the need to rebalance ourselves. So rather than focus on, I mean, you could, of course, gently massage your forehead and relax your eyebrows, relax your nose, your cheeks, your cheekbones, and just sort of apply gentle pressure and massage to your face, and that would be great. But with the breath, what we're mainly aiming to do is take the pressure away from the head and reassign it to lower down in the body through the breath. We will do that. Let's start with a gentle massage of your face, like I was doing. And we'll start with the hum, really nasal, and really focus on the front there, between the front of your forehead, between your forehead and your nose. And we'll go. So very gentle hum, and just allow the sound to die off as you go high. As you hum, really enjoy the vibration happening in your head, and try to stretch and relax the muscles in your face and your head through the hum. So together. And we'll mirror that with let's try the second part again. So we've got our cheeks up. What we're aiming for, what you should feel on the way up, we're feeling the vibration through the front, through our face. On the way down, if you if you go down the scale with your cheeks raised, and we're then guiding the sound, or hopefully you're just feeling that vibration go down towards the back of the mouth and down the soft palate, so that it's almost taking the pressure away from the head and just setting things back into balance. So let's do it again, up and down. Once more. Final time. Make sure you're humming on an N to really maximize the vibrations in the skull. On a no, we tend to have we'll have the tongue pressing against the hard palate, therefore concentrating the vibrations more. It'll make it easier, perhaps, if you open the lips just ever so slightly. Don't feel you have to sing. You're just producing a hum. So. Good. How do you feel? Good. So I don't know if I've got anybody actually watching this live stream. I'd shared the previous go. It didn't work. Hopefully you'll catch up with this later. I shall share the video and see what happens. So if you're watching this a bit later on, perhaps please do leave a comment and let me know what you think. Did you find the exercise useful, interesting, or just didn't work? Sometimes things don't work. It might be if you don't have a headache, or if you have a headache, you probably want to leave it till you don't have a headache so that you can put up with the singing, with listening to someone else explain something and using vocal exercises. And then you can remember the stuff and apply it when you've actually got a headache. I did this in Italian on my Tuesday session, and I listened back with a headache and I went, oh no, this is a bad idea. But when I was doing it and I had a headache, it worked. It worked for me. It's just listening back. Yeah, obviously. We always want to use our common sense. Okay. I'm going to stand up now so we can step away. I always find that once I get started with exercises, I want to be standing because I want to involve more of the body. I endless talk about the fact that our self is not just limited by our body. We are very much made of energy, and the body is almost, well, it's a tool. It helps us to speak. It helps us to share our thoughts and feelings with people. It helps us get places. Although, how did I say, if I was just a spirit, I'd probably get there a lot faster. But anyway, that's another concept. However, we are made of energy. We're made of sound. So if we can perhaps visualize that constant movement of air going in and out, and the sound that we make moving about and spinning inside ourselves, both within our body, but also in the space around us. It's a big thing. I very much like to think of stretching, not just the muscles that we normally would. If you go to the gym, you just stretch the muscles in your body. But the best way to stretch the muscles inside you that you can't feel are actually to look to the edges of your spiritual self and aim to stretch those. Where did I get this from? I got this from singing. When you sing opera and the bel canto technique and so on, when you sing in high notes, you need to spin the sound somewhere. If we quite often, and this sort of brings me momentarily into the singing on your period bit. Singers tend to really perform from their mouth. It can take a long time for us to really understand the concept of learning a technique and then applying your take on it. It can take a lot of bravery. And from what I hear quite a lot, you have fantastic singers. They learn from wonderful teachers. They have beautiful voices. They stand on stage and you can hear this beautiful sound. But in my experience, I can tell you can hear it being a little bit overguided, perhaps. There's too much concentration on trying to produce sound and projecting it forward. Now, if you do that, I think mentally, most of us, we know, perhaps subconsciously, we know that the voice comes out through the throat because you've got your vocal cords, and teachers and conductors can tell you till kingdom come that you have to sing from your diaphragm. But have you ever felt your diaphragm? Seriously, if I now say to you, sing from your diaphragm, what does that mean? In actual fact, you can't feel your diaphragm. Unless I'm weird and I'm the only one who can't feel it. You can't feel your diaphragm. Why? Because you've got your lungs, then you've got a diaphragm underneath. What you can feel are the muscles around, the muscles supporting the diaphragm. So, in actual fact, what you need to do is rely on the muscles that you can feel, but also the muscles that since you were a baby have learned and practiced how to support the weight of the body, how to support our balance. And what muscles are those? We're talking about the muscles in your feet, the muscles in your legs, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your pelvic area, your buttocks, your stomach, and your stomach is right up here. Your pelvic area. Those muscles that keep you standing and not falling to the floor, those are the muscles you want to rely on to give you the power to project the voice. So there we're taking it away a little bit. If you're trying to sing projecting through the mouth and you're trying to involve the diaphragm, and that is what you're focusing on, you're sort of minimizing your vocal space to hear. Now, there's only so much that can do. And if you've got a back pain or abdominal pain, it can take a lot of effort to try and control that strength. What you really need to do is step back and build up the strength on the muscles that are already halfway there. So the other thing I mentioned was high notes and having to sort of spin the sound and sort of perhaps thinking out the box. So peculiar just talking to myself when the screen is so easy to just get lost and I can't remember what I've said and what I haven't, and I don't want to stand here talking forever about nonsense. But yes, when we're in a singing lesson, when we're told how to approach the high notes, we're told about you know, spinning the sound and projecting it up there, projecting it up there. So sort of, we go, okay, I shall throw the sound up there. And if you're lucky and you're nice and young, it works. But let's go back to our back and abdomen and so on. Let's actually visualize ourselves, visualize yourself as this, and use your arms, perhaps, that, you know, you can feel your own space. Visualize your own self with all this space above you and around you, right to the back. Visualize yourself as a huge sphere. Now you could be a bubble, perhaps, or you could be what I always like to think of. You could be a greenhouse, a beautiful spherical greenhouse, where our head is a lovely glass dome. Our eyes are the glass windows up there that we can't reach with our hands, through which the sunlight comes into the body. Our breath going in and out of a body is the scent of the flowers, the gentle and imperceptible movement of the leaves on the plants in our greenhouse. And if we think of ourselves as the tree in the middle of this greenhouse, our spine is the tree, and through our breath and movement and sound, we are stretching out the life force within us. There is constantly filtering light, sound, oxygen. We're sinking energy into the ground. We take energy up from the ground and releasing it back up towards the top of our greenhouse, towards the air and the sunlight. So we're in this lovely place. Bringing back the head and spine idea, we'll think of them together. Why stick to the idea of just fixing a headache or just a backache? It's all about balance. It's about the body rebalancing itself, or us realigning, rebalancing ourselves. So let's imagine that we are picking up sound like the moisture that within the greenhouse raises up to the glass and then cools down like dew falling back onto the plants. And we'll go together with your arms. Really imagine gathering and guiding the dew from the glass in your greenhouse down towards your plants. Okay, together. Slightly higher if you can. If you're a man and you've got a deeper voice, perhaps go. You're aiming to be right at the top of your voice. Perhaps an octave lower than mine. See how you get on. Again, to make sure you've got the pitch right. If you've got the height, again. We'll come down. If you do have the height, please do explore and just go higher and higher. The key is to really relax the head Really don't think about the singing. You are just gathering with your arms that dew and just bringing it down. As you bring it down, you're easing into your knees a little bit. So what's actually all that's doing the hard work is your arms, because they're moving up and down. And as you come down, your pelvic muscles and the front of your thighs are just supporting your balance and your weight. Okay? So we'll come down to. So we're humming on an N, on an So you should feel the vibrations across the back of the hard palate and towards the soft palate, and just easing down the back of the throat effectively. Good. So next, going down. The last one, the hum. And you should feel as you go lower into the register that the vibrations of the hum are closer to the middle of your nose rather than up high in the head. Is that right? Let me know. So we'll try not to jump away to something completely different. We'll stay on the same exercise for now, but changing from a hum to a vowel. And we'll go again still, because we're trying to rebalance our back. We want to ease the pressure on the muscles around our spine. So we're now standing. If you're sitting, try follow the movement of the spine still. Nice, really relax the back, and sort of just sit forward a little, just relax, just sit how you would like to sit, just feel comfortable and go with it. If you're standing, make sure your feet are a little wide apart. I've got them about that sort of distance, so that you are standing strongly. And unlock your knees. So as we come down the scale, you can bounce into your knees ever so gently, which will allow your spine to gently curve and ease and curve and ease. And that gentle movement, coupled with the vibrations of the voice and the depth of breath, which makes sure that the lungs are also moving at full capacity, will ease any pain or discomfort in the back. Back to the exercise. So we're going to go. So jaw nice and loose. We are starting the sound from our nasal cavities and our nose, and just easing the sound into the bottom part of our sphere, in towards our foliage and plants, towards the roots in our greenhouse. Yeah. So. So we'll change the movement of the arms from there to there. So we're easing into the lower hemisphere of our self. Last one. Take a deep breath in. Hold it for a moment and release upwards and down. Then down towards your toes. Allow your spine to just weigh towards the ground. Just trust gravity to do its job. To get up, bend your knees. Cross your arms to help your body up. Really try to stop it from falling down. And we'll take one more breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. In. Hold it for a moment and throw it upwards and down. Bend your knees. One last breath. Breathe in. Hold it for a moment and out. Good. So how does that feel? Yeah. It's quite good, isn't it? So it's sort of experimenting with the idea of sphere and circles. What makes me think of this sort of thing a lot is you can see, if you've ever watched smoke in a room, or sometimes even just looking at the sunlight through a window, you can see how, even if there is no breeze in the room, but you can see the dust particles in the sunlight, they're constantly moving. And you can see, it looks like the light is moving. In actual fact, the light is only illuminating the movement of the air as it spins around. Why does it do that? Well, it does that because people in the room are breathing, because there's heat and heat rises and then it comes back down and all of that. That is a movement that is constantly going on. So what I like to do is to internalize that, make it part of my own self, because we breathe. And the key, I think, is to, what are the mini keys? As you breathe out, let's try not to think that we are releasing toxins, or we're getting rid of the bad air. When we're back at school, I think primary school is the first point at which we taught that we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and that's nasty. But that sort of plants an idea in our subconscious that when you breathe out, you are letting go of something negative. In actual fact, if you visualize of yourself as a greenhouse, that's a really useful thing, because plants need the carbon dioxide. What we want to get rid of, they need. So how do we use breath and vocal exercise, particularly breath, to energize ourselves? I think that's the thing. Self-healing sounds a bit peculiar. I don't know why. It's just, but yeah, it's turning your breath into energy, and not just by breathing in the oxygen, but actually taking charge of what we do with the next bit. Now, what do we do with the air? When you breathe out, try and channel mentally the breath, the good of the breath, regardless of what's coming in and what's going out. Use that breath and turn it into energy, and mentally channel it down your limbs, down your arms, your legs, and up through our head, and flowering into the top of a tree. If you visualize yourself as a tree, then in your mind you can have this wonderful head of hair. Yes, and that simple thought, that simple approach of thought, makes our brain do fantastic things, because our brain is really quite, for want of a better word, it's really quite clever. Talk about stating the obvious, because as we know, the brain moves muscles. so that we can do what it wants us to do. So if you just visualize that you are using the air as you breathe out as energy for your limbs, then the brain will sort it out so that it will make muscles do stuff. What actually happens? I don't know, but it works. So, okay, so we've talked about the back, we talked about the head. Now, at this point, the same sort of exercises will have been useful for our abdomen. Sometimes, I mean, when we have abdominal pain, it's quite often simply because the muscles in our abdomen are having to cope with tension and inflammation and stress. And they just need a little bit of help, really. So just breathing and then trusting them to do their job. I mean, I said earlier I was going to talk about periods. It's sort of whether it's a lady's time of the month or whether you have abdominal pain because perhaps the digestive system is struggling a little bit. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff in there. A lot of stuff. Our intestines. We can suffer with digestive problems. We can suffer from colics and anything from trap wind to indigestion to full on abdominal cramps related to menstruation. What we feel is the muscles being under stress. But the lower part of the body, as in the previous exercise, when we were high up in the register, we were moving the arms up. In the lower register, we're moving our arms down. Why? If we visualize our body as a sphere, we know that the lower part of our body is about excretion. We take food through the mouth. We speak through the mouth. We sing. We breathe in and out. But the lower part of the body is almost entirely about excretion. So what we want to do to ease any pain there is to support the contractions of muscles so that we take charge of it rather than just go, ow, I've got a cramp, I've got to get rid of it. Support it. And this sort of takes me back to singing. We did those exercises with the notes high up, and we were bringing the high notes down. When you're singing, as I said earlier, you really want to rely on the muscles that are used to supporting your weight, they're used to holding your balance. So yeah, I mean, there's something there. I need to be better with my words. Excuse me. Okay, let's go back to doing, and then it'll come to us. If you prefer to sit, you can sit. If you're standing, try and stand, your legs are locked, and you're almost like sitting on a horse. What we're going to do, we're going to do some exercises where we visualize the air going in, and we are turning, as we produce the sound and the air slowly goes out, we are visualizing turning that breath through the sound into a movement of energy that sort of starts on from our core. So we breathe in into the soft palate, We know that when you breathe into through the mouth into the soft palate, the air goes straight to the bottom of the lungs. So we're then going to use this air. We're going to visualize the energy going from the core symmetrically out into our back, our hips, our, if you're a woman, towards the ovaries, out and then back. Yeah. So we'll go a nice and simple one. I quite like the exercises using the words io, 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 a, partly because io in Italian means I. So mentally, I like to think that I'm singing about myself. So if you are doing this sessions are very much for you. So you are singing I love myself. I'm looking after myself. Yeah. So we'll go. So as sitting on a horse. What we should feel, just to make sure we're on the same page. Remember, you are controlling the weight of the air of the top of your body, your balance with your abdominal muscles. So you should feel this sort of contraction and pressure in there. But by visualizing that the energy going through and out and in that sort of horizontal circles, we are easing that those sort of contractive movements. So together. We'll go down first and then up. As you go down in the lower register, if it is low for your voice, make sure you keep the cheeks up to stop the voice from just collapsing. Keep that passaggio supported once when you get through it. So we're going to do a couple more lower down to ease what we're doing. As we go into the lower part of the register, more and more we are supporting the voice from lower parts of our body. So if we started from our abdomen, by the time we reach the bottom of our register, we are supporting the sound from our sort of actual, I've got the words in Italian, I can't think the word in English. Well, basically from our pelvis. So the muscles in and around the pelvis, or in the case of women, your ovaries are, you're really pushing from there. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ease that by involving almost Tai Chi-like movements. So we're going to move into the knees by bouncing into them or bending into them and stretching the movement of the arm. So we'll go like this. Really move with the voice. Last one. That's sort of the bottom register. So what we've done there is that while supporting your pelvic area, you're also stretching, leaning forward with your back. So again, you're easing the muscles on your back. So we'll then take a big breath in and out. Now, coming back up a little bit, let's have a little gentle rock side to side. Because again, we're talking about back, and everything is joined together. So when we talked about dealing with headaches and the back, we joined the two. Now we've done exercises involving the pelvis and then join it together with the back. So we're going to bring it back up a little bit. Keep your knees unlocked. So as you move side to side, you can ease into the knees. It's great to sort of build up elasticity in your knees doing relaxed exercises like this as well. So nice and simple, we're going to go. If you like, you could just do the see how you get on. I'm losing concentration. You see, now I'm relaxed and I get all confused. Start again. So. So what I did there is that I'm combining two exercises, one which is quite simple, one which is more of a sort of scale, and I'm using all of my breath and only breathing in when I need to, so that in fact I'm not breathing in and out within a specific exercise. I went straight on to the next one and just breathed in halfway through the next one. So that you're really just trusting your body to do its own thing. Once more. So. Last one. Big breath. Shake those fingers. Stretch our back. Shake your bottom. Why not? And give everything a little bit of a, is everything happy? Is my body all happy? Yes. Lovely. Thank you. So with that exercise, I'm going to sit down and talk to you. With this exercise, what did I do? I did what I couldn't talk about because I couldn't quite explain. So through the movement and by simplifying See, can't talk about it. You're simplifying what the head does. The head does nothing, okay? The throat does nothing. All the singing was concentrated on the movement, the strength of the pelvic area. We were leaning into the knees. We were easing the pressure around the muscles around the up and down the spine by doing this sort of gentle side-to-side movement. And we were going into the high register with no pressure whatsoever in either the throat or anywhere in the face. Yeah? So that is sort of the key. That takes me to the next bit about opera singers, female opera singers, and how do you cope when you've got a show or you've got to be working in singing and it's the dreaded time of month. Going back to what I was saying earlier, the problem really lies in this. Oh, look at that little dog is trying to open the door. You're clever. Oh, you did it, you know. You opened the door. Sorry. Get excited about little things like that. Yes. So, of course, okay, take it back on one step. Menstruation involves hormones, of course. Now, those hormones are involved in relaxing muscles. So, as a singer, you will find that suddenly everything sounds a bit rough. If you sing through your throat, it's a similar sort of effect, actually, that I've noticed in older people. Men and women, I think women seem to have it more, partly because they just get out and sing more, perhaps on the Isle of Wight, I don't know. But so you've got the muscles in your throat relaxed. Your body wants to focus on your pelvic area. It doesn't want to be talking, doesn't want to be singing. You try and get the throat involved and it's like, so you've got this sort of tension and your voice has gone all like this and suddenly you sound like the god the fan. Yeah, I can say that I'm Sicilian, by the way. So you've got that, but then it's only really an issue, I dare say, if you actually project through the throat. If you're singing in a way that you are projecting through the mouth, let's put this in song and see in actual practice, because you can hear, I can show you the difference. Today I'm going to use some of Song to the Moon. Why not? I like that. I haven't sang it in a while. So I'll stand back a bit, or sit back a little bit. So I don't make the microphone in my computer go bust. So I dare say that I'm not wishing to teaching a chicken how to lay eggs. Don't dare speak to professionals about this. But perhaps young singers or amateur singers, or people trying to sing it after a certain age, perhaps when you've dropped out of having one-to-one coaching sessions. And I'd like to say these chats are very much, I'm just here talking during lockdown. I need someone to talk to, so I'll talk to myself. And if it's any use to anybody, then great, wonderful. If you do find my videos useful, please share. But what you really need as a professional singer or somebody wishing to work harder on their voice and on breath control and everything, you really need one you do. They will be able to advise you on your specific needs and on your specific needs at a specific time in your life. Quite often, my connection seems to have gone. I'll carry on and see what happens. I can always restart this bit. So quite often, when singers get to a certain age, they lose touch with the vocal coach. Because we know we can sing, we get the jobs, and we think, okay, I haven't actually had time to see my coach. And it's a dangerous trap to fall in if you leave it for too long, because then we fall into our comfort zones. And sometimes singers develop a wobble in the voice, or just some bad habits here and there. For instance, I noticed that I stopped seeing my coach for a couple of years when I was moving to the Isle of Wight from London. And I joined the church choir where everybody had much lighter voices than my own. So I started to always breathe in through the nose and never sing with my mouth open to avoid making too much sound. It does work. It's got its place, but it isn't something that you can sustain as an opera singer. You do need to breathe in through the mouth, raise that soft palate properly, fill your lungs with air, and really be able to project. Okay, but anyway, I digress. So anyway, if you're quite young and you are getting regular singing lessons, you might, however, find that you're so busy trying to learn what you're being taught that you're overthinking stuff. And if you find that when you've got back pain, abdominal pain, a bit of stress, actually the voice just isn't really working, what you need to do is step out of the box. So I was going to show, so I'm just going to close that door, it's distracting me. The way we would normally want to sing when projecting through the voice box might be like something like, so that you might have thought, oh, that's not too bad. I like that. But what happens when then we go in the higher register? I will have to stand back a little bit. And this is where we're supporting from the diaphragm, yeah? So that was me indulging to sing from the voice box and supporting from the diaphragm. Now let's take it out of the box a little bit. Now, if your throat just doesn't want it, isn't going there, because you just going, look, I'm tired, I don't want to sing. And the last thing you want to do, really, you have no energy to support your diaphragm. If you're thinking, I've got to sing support from the diaphragm, and your diaphragm is just going, well, do you know what? I've got a pain here and a pain here. Nothing's happened. Let's focus on the extremities of ourselves. Let's focus on singing from the edges of our sphere at the top. and supporting right from our pelvic area. So make use of the muscles a little bit lower down from the places where you find pain and discomfort, and really forget about the throat, okay? So let's try it again. And I always say as well, never perform for other people. You need to really visualize yourself as the character. Be the character. If you're singing Song to the Moon, be the water sprite. Be Rusalka. And feel what you're talking about. So, this is me singing to myself and supporting from my legs, pelvic area, and just stretching the voice from the extremities and completely ignoring the throat. Let's see if it works, eh? What do you think? Could you tell a difference? Which one was better? Which one was worse? The point of the pudding is, if you're not feeling great, there is a way around it. And if you are focusing on singing from the edges, when you then come to the end of the aria, when you go into sort of darker parts of the voice, you're already there. You're already swinging around the edges of your sphere. So having sung, let me see, hang on. I haven't sung this in a while, so it's just, and I haven't sort of practiced. It's just come out of my brain like that. See? So my point is, if you're already playing with the top of the sphere, the top of your greenhouse, and the ground, and you think spherically, so you could visualize yourself as a bubble, and perhaps sound as the movement of the soap at the edges of the bubble. You're not focusing on the voice box, you're focusing on these edges. So to be able to go from you can do so really quite easily, because you're already there. Yeah, makes sense. Right, I think this has taken me a long time, and I'm sorry about the technical problems once again. Chances are I might well give this another go and perhaps record it as an actual video and put it on YouTube a bit later on. In the meantime, if you have any comments, any questions, any bits where you go, "You mad woman, what are you talking about?" then please, post a comment and let me know. Anything else? No, I think I've covered everything. Yeah. Lovely. Have a fantastic day. Yeah. I think I'll put some more information on the information below, because I'm sure there's something I want to tell you. Well, okay. Well, the only thing I'd say, during lockdown, I'm doing a series of live streams every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock British time, 12 o'clock Italian time. I'm doing this similar live streams on the similar sort of theme in Italian. I'm trying to keep the same theme. So if you've heard it now in English, the Italian one on Tuesday will be the same. Last Tuesday, I did headaches on its own. So you will be able to access both. So if you know anyone who's Italian, doesn't speak English, and they would like to hear what I have to say, then Tuesday mornings. And here on YouTube. Then Wednesday mornings, I do a live stream as part of my anxiety support Wednesday morning thing. And I do that on the Project Opera Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/Project Opera. And that's 11 o'clock British time on a Wednesday morning. And then I'm here, hopefully, if the internet doesn't break and make a mess of things, I go live on a Friday morning at 11 o'clock British time in English. If you have any questions at all, any subject you would like me to cover, please either leave a message underneath, or you can send a message on my Project Opera page on Facebook. That's it. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.